Earth reaching its highest temperature on record for a fourth day in a row.
Well, as it turned out yesterday, July 4th, ended up being the world's hottest day on record.
Monday and Tuesday, the hottest days ever recorded on Earth.
They say the average global temperature reached 17.01 degrees on Monday.
Our planet is on fire. June's global average temperature was more than 1 degree Celsius hotter than normal for the first time, and the hot streak continues. The first week of July was literally the hottest week ever recorded on Earth. Whether you like to believe it or not, climate change is real and it's happening faster than most could have ever imagined. We already know what's going to happen when this gets worse and worse. Look at the blistering heat wave that's going through the west coast of the US and Texas. Dangerously high temperatures for longer periods of time. There will be more severe storms and hurricanes that will affect the southern states like Florida. Sea level will continue to rise and some cities around the world will literally go under. It's scary. Okay, so what does climate change have to do with real estate investing? A lot. I mean, pretty much everything. Like, a lot of people will be moving, or should I say migrating, because of climate change. If you don't believe me, that's fine. Let's hear from an expert. I recently read an interesting book about climate change and migration. It's called Nomad Century by Guy Evans. The premise of this book is that by 2100, millions or maybe billions of people will be moving to regions that are more resilient to climate change. Some of the major cities in the world will be underwater and uninhabitable. There will be a massive migration of people to places that are more inhabitable. According to science, by conservative estimates, cities around the world could see more than 6 feet of flooding by the year 2100. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, has predicted that sea levels could rise by 10 feet to 12 feet if global emissions do not slow down. I mean, these numbers are averages, which means some areas would see higher levels while others would be less affected. But under the worst case climate scenario, some cities might even disappear underwater. In the US, New Orleans is already sinking. Other major cities like Miami, Houston, and even New York City are on the list. So where will people end up? According to Vince, inland lake systems like the Great Lakes region of Canada and the US will see a huge influx of migrants as the vast bodies of water should keep the region fairly temperate. Two of the cities she mentions in the region are Duluth and Minneapolis, Minnesota. You may not have heard of these places before, so in this video, I'm going to show you what Duluth and Minneapolis are like because I'm in Minnesota right now. If you're new here, my name is Shu. In this channel, I talk about real estate investing, financial freedom, and Japan. Well, I usually talk about all those three topics, but today I'm not going to talk about Japan. But I will be focusing on the other two topics from a Japanese man's perspective. If you enjoy the content on my channel, do me a favor and hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. I would really appreciate your support. Now, let's get started. What's Minnesota like? Minnesota is a Midwestern US state bordering Canada and Lake Superior, the largest of the Great Lakes. It's known as the land of 10,000 lakes. The official count is 11,842 and has more lakes than any other state except for Alaska and Wisconsin. But Alaska only has about 3,000 lakes that are officially named, and Wisconsin counts ponds as lakes. Minnesota only counts a body of water as a lake if it's more than 10 acres in surface area. In a sense, Minnesota is a state with the most number of lakes. Okay, whatever. My point is, Minnesota has a lot of lakes. Like, literally everywhere. Like, if I go for a run, I see a lake, at least one lake, any direction I go. Minnesota has 4 distinct seasons, and the winter, as you can probably guess, is notoriously long and brutal. In fact, it's the second coldest mainland state in the country after North Dakota. This was the last winter when the outside temperature was minus 24 degrees Celsius, or minus 11 degrees Fahrenheit. With the wind chill factor, it was minus 38 degrees Celsius and minus 36 degrees Fahrenheit. So I threw hot water in the air and left an egg and pasta outside to see how quickly things freeze. It can get pretty hot in the summer, but it's a lot more manageable compared to the humid summer in most regions of Japan, or what people in California and Texas are experiencing right now. You know, I love the summer here because you don't sweat much. It gets hot, but you don't sweat much. Like right now, it's in July, it's about 25 degrees Celsius, and I'm wearing pants and I feel pretty comfortable. In Japan, you know, if I wear pants during the summer, I just sweat like crazy, and it's so humid, you know. So the summer is really nice. It's very mild and very, very comfortable. My favorite time of the year is the fall, although it only lasts about a few weeks. I think it's the most gorgeous time of the year here. Why Minnesota? You might be wondering why I know so much about Minnesota. Well, my wife is from Minneapolis, so we come back here about twice a year. Over the past decade, I've spent more time in Minnesota than my time in all the other states combined. And I've experienced every season except for the spring. Because of this, my US real estate investing journey started in Minnesota. We were living in Japan at the time already, but felt that Minnesota was the right place for us to start investing in. Now that we've owned several properties in Minnesota for several years, I can confidently say that we've made the right decision. Let me give you an example. This is the first duplex we bought back in 2018 in a suburb of the Twin Cities. We bought it for $217,000, paid $57,000 for the down payment and closing costs, and another $26,000 for renovation. So it's $83,000 out of pocket to purchase and fix up this property. 5 years later, this duplex is now worth $331,000. That's a whopping 52% increase in value. We gained $114,000 in appreciation alone. The best part is that this property also cash flows very well. I mean, how difficult is it to find a market that has both cash flow and appreciation? That's everyone's dream. Yes, we got very lucky with the timing of the purchase. But you know what? We were scared to death when we bought this property because we thought we paid too much for it and we couldn't find tenants for like 3 months. So all we had were expenses after expenses without getting any rental income. But once we placed tenants and fixed all the major maintenance issues, we never looked back. In today's US market, cash flow is becoming very hard to find with high interest rates. Real estate investing isn't like what it was even 5 years ago. So many people want to get into real estate investing and there's so much demand for such limited supply. But if you think you're too late to the party, it's never too late. With what's happening around the world with climate change and what science predicts where people will move to, I'm going to bet that Minnesota is going to be one of the hottest real estate markets by 2100. Let me tell you a little bit about Minneapolis. It's not the state capital of Minnesota, but it's the largest city in the state. It's right next to the state capital, St. Paul, and the two are called the Twin Cities. Minneapolis is only the 46th most populous city in the country with just 425,000 people. So there's really nothing special about it. What makes Minneapolis special is being surrounded by water with 13 lakes, wetlands, the Mississippi River, creeks, and waterfalls. What else is Minneapolis famous for? It's a great sports city with a team in pretty much every professional sport you can think of. The Minnesota State Fair is the highest ranked state fair in the country. Economically, did you know that Minneapolis is home to one of the densest collections of Fortune 500 companies in the world? As a result, Minneapolis is often known for the high-profile companies headquartered around the city, which include Target, 3M, Pillsbury, General Mills, Land O'Lakes, and Best Buy. As for housing, the median home price in Minneapolis is $340,000, which is lower than the country's average home price of $436,000. And finally, according to CBN News, Minneapolis ranks second among top cities attracting Gen Zers after Atlanta. See, the future is looking bright for this Midwestern city. Let's talk about Duluth. I mean, what's the fuss about this tiny city? Duluth is about 150 miles north of Minneapolis, and it's a port city on Lake Superior, which is the largest freshwater lake in the world by surface area. The population is 86,000, which makes it the 5th largest city in the state. I mean, it's a tiny city. But apparently in 1869, Duluth was the fastest growing city in the United States, and it was on track to becoming the largest city in the Midwest. Unfortunately, in 1873, a stock market crash made it seem like the city would simply disappear from the view altogether. At one point, Duluth was said to be home to the most millionaires per capita in the nation as of 1905 because of the steel production. Well, who knows? Scientists believe that Duluth is the most climate-resistant city in the country. So it may become the fastest growing city in the near future again. If that were to become reality, there will be more houses and housing prices will rise in this region. All right, I'm 40 miles south of Duluth in Minnesota. It's a nice little lake town. There's a huge space right here. Nice cottage, nice cabin right there. And behind that cabin, there's one of the small lakes in this neighborhood. And a lot of these lake homes are sold for about $500,000. And my prediction is that in the next 50, 80 years, these are going to be worth way, way, way more because the demand's going to be a lot higher. People are going to be moving here, according to that book. So right now, it might be the right place to buy a home here. And And many of these lake cabins used to be under $300,000 10 years ago. So home prices are already picking up in this area. I went for a few long runs in this area, and every time I saw multiple lakes and many cabins on those lakes. This is me on a boat on one of the lakes around here, and the lake life up there is pretty awesome. If, or should I say when, more places become uninhabitable around the world, I could see more and more people coming up to this area because it's very comfortable here, except during the winter, of course. But with climate change, maybe the winter in Minnesota gets a lot more milder and becomes even more attractive for more people to live. And this is one of the major reasons why I like buying properties in Minnesota. I'm probably not going to be alive in 2100, but I hope my children will be around. And I hope our decision today will help build generational wealth for tomorrow. How do you think climate change will change the way you invest in real estate? And where will you be investing? Leave a comment below. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who might benefit from this. And if you want to learn more about how to invest in Minnesota real estate, check out the link below for more info. And be sure to watch this video next for more, and see you in the next one.